Part 57. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 561. Breakfast was very rich. Long Jerui commented. Everyone raised their heads and looked at Brother Long, the shock in their eyes difficult to conceal. This person is so weird. The singer pulled Xiao Transparent aside to help her heal and calm down her emotions. The robot responsible for site cleaning came forward and cleaned the site. Tianping had a headache and rubbed his temples. Why does this girl get airsick? Moving at this speed, Little Transparent could spit like this. There is no hope of moving the turret, so stand still and deal damage. Little Transparent regained her composure and said with a pale face. Not only do I get airsick, I also get carsick and seasick. I've had this problem since I was a child. Everyone looked at Xiao Transparent, who was talking eloquently, and their eyes were once again shocked. This girl, doesn't she stutter anymore? Could it be that after vomiting all over the floor, the Ren and Du meridians were opened and the branches were strengthened? Little Transparent looked at everyone in surprise. What's wrong, you're all looking at me like this? The singer asked tentatively. Didn't you notice anything unusual? No, I'm just a little hungry. Little Transparent touched her belly and found that her breakfast was in vain. She suddenly reacted and said excitedly. I. It's over, I stuttered again. Everyone held their hands, their faces full of helplessness. However, this matter is a bit interesting. Tianping muttered. If vomiting after airsickness can cure Xiao Xing's stuttering, maybe it can become the strongest cooperation. Ye Bai. Can you listen to what you are saying? Seeing Ye Bai's confusion, Tianping explained. Xiao Transparent's output ability is terrifying. The only thing that limits her output ability is her speaking speed. Speaking speed? Ye Bai looked at Xiao Transparent, and the other person's talent popped up in front of his eyes. SS level talent multiple chanting, you can chant and cast spells repeatedly in the languages of different races. The more languages you use, the more powerful the skill will be. Singing in language of group 2 will enhance skills by 15%, and language of group 3 will be strengthened by 35%. Moreover, when you sing in the language of some powerful races, you will also get special bonuses. For example, the Eternal Nine clan can all obtain corresponding enhancements. After chanting in the language of the Vampire clan, their skills will be equipped with omnipotent blood-sucking. This talent, even among SS level talents, is the strongest. If you change the owner. From a certain perspective, Little Transparent and multiple chant are really a wonderful combination. The stuttering limited her output ability and put her at the bottom of the SS level special training camp. Regarding Xiao Transparent's talent, Tianping said a few words vaguely, only saying that the faster she spoke, the higher her output would be. Ye Bai nodded slowly, that's it. In this case, a complete combat plan appears in front of everyone. In the first step, Ye Bai took Xiao Transparent and airdropped to a safe output environment. In the second step, Little Transparent obtains the vomiting debuff and eliminates the stuttering debuff. The third step is to make the small transparent air appear in seconds. Something. Ye Bai's hands felt itchy for a moment and he looked at Little Transparent. Try. Little Transparent. When you created this kind of battle plan, did you consider the feelings of the executors? However, the battlefield is a battlefield of life and death. Those who set foot on the battlefield must not only bear the consciousness of killing the enemy, but also the consciousness of being killed. In the face of life and death, what does mere vomiting mean? After feeling almost recovered, Little Transparent started her own wonderful flight journey again. In order to restore the previous scene, Ye Bai even kept the flight trajectory and speed exactly the same. Half a minute later, Ye Bai put her back down. Little Transparent, ugh. No, okay. Xiao Transparent turned pale and shook her head. Still stuttering. There must be something wrong with some step. The college students present were all very scientifically literate. After the experiment failed, they began to look for variables. Breakfast. Brother Long said seriously. Eat breakfast again as you did today, a stick of corn, 2 eggs. Brother Long repeated Xiao Transparent's recipe. Everyone looked at him again. This person is really weird. Ye Bai made up his mind to stay away from Brother Long. This guy's fetishes are outrageous. It is actually possible to deduce recipes from food scraps. Is this something that humans can do? In order for the experiment to be successful, and I was actually a little hungry. Xiao Transparent went to the cafeteria and bought a breakfast, and Feng Wan Kenyun ate it. The singer said distressedly from the side. If you vomit after eating like this, it will not only be bad for your health, but also a waste of food. It doesn't matter. Ye Bai dispelled her worries considerately. I've seen it. The sweeping robot just now has a material recycling function. Maybe it can turn the residue into food and put it into the cycle again. The food will not be wasted. I'll try it first. I really don't stutter anymore. It's great. Therefore, Wang is very curious, what is the situation of Tianzi Class 3? Me too. For Tianzi Class 3, this is naturally great news. Many people are gearing up and preparing to challenge Tianzi Class 3 in the first promotion competition and seize the opponent's ranking. This. Through previous repeated torture, they roughly found a solution to Little Transparent's stuttering, although it was rather metaphysical. If the stuttering can be solved, Xiao Transparent's combat power will increase by more than 10 times. Little Transparent? Brother, I'm eating. But it had only been 2 days since school started, and good news came out one after another from Tianzi Class 3. Brother Long made another breakthrough yesterday. Even so, their results were recognized by the instructors. Ye Bai suggested. In Tianzi Class 3, Brother Long is in C. Tianping was on his way back when he was suddenly stopped by someone. After all, Ye Bai, who has a C-level talent, is already very strong if he can achieve this level. Doing this all the time is hard on the body, and it is also a great torture on Xiao Transparent's mind. Everyone. After a moment of silence, Tianping said. Before the last word was uttered, Xiao Transparent rolled his eyes and fainted. After the training, everyone dispersed and went back to their homes to prepare for the night break. I will never eat from the cafeteria again. After that, let Xiao Transparent go for a physical examination to understand the scientific principles behind this. I heard that your grades were very good today. What's going on? Tianping had an idea and blurted out. The training in the morning came to an end, and everyone participated in group training in the afternoon. As promised before, the rest of the people contributed to Ye Bai's paddling scale. Half a minute later, the small transparent one fell to the ground, still looking the same as before. Wang and others had just finished their study tasks for the day and happened to meet Tianping and said hello. First, Brother Long's test reached the top secret level, and today he was named and praised by the instructor. That's it for today's test. Everyone. After vomiting, Little Transparent tried to speak. After a lot of ups and downs, Xiao Transparent's third flight officially started. Among the 20 classes approved in advance by Moda University, Tianzi Class 3 is recognized as the most successful. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 562. After finishing his study for the day, Ye Bai returned to his small dormitory. After activating the defensive formation that came with the dormitory, Ye Bai teleported to the Eternal Forest again. If he breaks through there, he will feel safer. Arriving at the outskirts of the Eternal Forest, Ye Bai did not go deeper, but stayed at the outskirts, waiting for 12 o'clock to arrive. During this period of time, it is best not to seek therapy from third brother. Zhao Qian had visited Ye Bai once before, about his third brother Xiaoao's condition. Butterflies dream of freedom, freedom dream of butterflies. This question that has troubled Xiaoao for hundreds of years may soon have an answer. Before that, Ye Bai had to become as strong as possible. Including the appearance of the second brother's projection yesterday, it also sounded a warning to Ye Bai. Ask yourself, is Wuhan strong? Powerful? Even among the strongest, Wuhan is the top being. Due to the limitations of the times, Nightmare's strength had never reached its peak, so he was forced to fight a decisive battle with the most powerful demon, and was seriously injured and retreated to the background. As for the third brother Xiaoao, although he was given a strong sense of oppression, due to his personality, he did not have the sharp edge of Wuhan. Such a strong Wuhan, with the 9 shadow guardians, has successfully established himself as the strongest, and his combat power at his peak is so terrifying. Then what? Facing the most powerful demon, after a great battle, he was still seriously injured. A cruel and cold reality faced Ye Bai. The stronger the strongest ones are, the stronger their old enemy, the strongest demon god, will be. This is an objective fact and will not change due to individual subjective will. There is the third brother in front, protecting Ye Bai from the wind and rain. After the third brother's battle with the most powerful demon, he would have to rely on Ye Bai to support the human race and provide shelter for the next most powerful seeds. Now level 499 Ye Bai is more than 10,000 times more powerful than the original level 1. On the contrary, the stronger he became, the more he understood the power of the most powerful demon. This is not an enemy to be taken lightly. It is precisely because of this that Ye Bai feels a little heavy, not only for himself, but also for Xiaoao. In 3 months, third brother will have a decisive battle with the most powerful demon. Ye Bai pondered. Can there be a bug and Xiaoao Shura join forces to kill the most powerful demon? There is no use in dreaming. The time soon approached 12 o'clock, and Ye Bai returned to his exclusive space first. Ouch! 0.25 seconds before Ye Bai arrived, Dracula lit up the entire exclusive space with a green light. Gabriel was a little surprised. Is this necessary? After taking a look at Dracula's cuckold, Ye Bai reached out and patted it as a test. The cuckold has changed. Wherever there was gold, everything turned into copper. In other words, Dracula now wears a green hat. After bullying Dracula, Ye Bai searched around and finally found the fool near the forging furnace. Idiot, what are you busy with? Get equipment. The idiot master rolled his eyes and retorted without politeness. Finish the equipment as soon as possible and get out of the sea of misery as soon as possible. In the entire exclusive space, Master Fool is the only one who dares to talk to Ye Bai like this. Are all the fools starting to work seriously and stop fishing? Ye Bai found it interesting and asked curiously. Approximately how long will it take? The fool calculated it and gave the answer. If it's fast, it'll be 5 or 6 months, if it's slow, it'll be no more than 30 years. Ye Bai. The daylilies have become cold after such a long time. Ye Bai asked strangely. Weren't you pretty fast at crafting SS level equipment before? Whether it's Xuemeng's Fangtian painted halberd or Huo Tianyi's prodigal spear, once the materials are gathered, they are ready in minutes. Putting aside these SS level equipment, it did not take this long to upgrade the force of nature from SS level to SSS level before. You have the nerve to mention it. When this was mentioned, Master Fool became angry. When I used to build SSS level equipment, what materials did I use? Nightmare Wind was made by pulling out a piece of cloth, and it was a shrunken version. Save as much as you can, otherwise the cloak would be so torn now. This is easy to understand. At that time, everyone was very poor and resources were very tight. Even if it is to build SSS level equipment, there are not many materials that can be used. The traceless broken sword and the happy fly whisk are all weapons. Once the main materials are enough, they can be forged very quickly. The idiot master pointed at Ye Bai's nose and cursed. Look at what you want me to build. Ye Bai wrote more than 1.3 million words on the equipment design draft alone, which is almost as long as a popular online article. The most important thing is that the crafting of weapons and armor is completely different. The SSS level armor that Ye Bai requested to build. To put it nicely, it's called one piece. To put it worst, it's hundreds of pieces of SSS level equipment pieced together. It is normal for such a huge workload to take a long time. Ye Bai knew that upon further investigation, he must be at fault. But who is Ye Bai? Who stipulates that you can't be angry when you are wrong? Taking back the 34th floor is a small matter, but transferring to another job is a big deal. Yes, there is. Since it involves changing jobs, Ye Bai must be more cautious. Ye Bai directly rejected Master Fool's request. Ta Ling said angrily. Ye Bai tried to bargain, but Master Fool bit him to death. I would like to inquire about the situation on the 34th floor. In the end, the two sides completely broke down and broke up. It's so noisy. Shut up. In the end, Ye Bai could only pull the fool to the corner and whisper to him the effect of losing money. As long as it was Shura's failure, she was willing to add fuel to the fire. 100 million is 100 million, not a penny less. The fool master smiled evilly and came up with the plan he had prepared to trick Shura. The problem is, Ye Bai cannot accept this emotionally. Half a minute later, an impatient voice came out. The fool master sets out his own conditions. If you want to speed up the forging, you can, as long as you agree to my request. 6 days, that's 600 God of War meritorious deeds. Ta Ling, you don't want me to fail the level, right? Ye Bai, who was unsure and strong, replied forcefully. Ye Bai. Spending 600 God of War merits and letting the fool master speed up the forging, this deal is undoubtedly a good deal. If you don't go to break through the barrier, what are you doing talking nonsense here? The idiot master smiled so hard that his mouth was crooked. This time, Ye Bai summoned the eternal core crystal in advance and tried to talk to the tower spirit. If you want to talk about this, then I'm going to be sleeping. Call the tower spirit, call the tower spirit, please reply when you receive it. Looking at the impatient eternal core crystal, Ye Bai said seriously. For the next 6 days, you will convert your 100 million eternal gold coins into copper every day. Okay. 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 Shura, please tell me first, how did you feel about your second brother's sword? Just as the time came to 12 o'clock, Ye Bai rushed to the Eternal Core City and prepared to break through. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. 100 million gold coins, converted into God of War merit, is only 100 God of War merit. Is there any way to get it done faster, preferably within 3 months? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjaya Old Thief. Chapter 563. Tarling. Although Tailing does not have the habit of reading human cultural and artistic works. But Shura's words always seemed strange. However, Shura's caution was indeed right. After this job change, Shura will reach level 500. The full level is level 1000, and level 500 is a special stage. Ta Ling said slowly. A normal Xeon Seed will have the combat power of an ordinary 9th level God of War at level 500. Hearing this, Ye Bai stood up and said proudly. I had it before I was level 500. Hee hee. Tailing sneered and said. Does your human race have normal powerful seeds? Yeah, bye. It sounds like he is swearing, but if you think about it carefully, it makes sense. No, I take back what I just said. Taling said in a sincere and strange way. You are the most normal and powerful seed in the human race so far. Tower Spirit, today's humiliation, 1/1. That's enough, I've tolerated you for a long time. Are you addicted to scolding? Yabai started to roll up his sleeves. He wanted the eternal core crystal to see what a fist as big as a casserole was. If I punch this, the eternal core crystal may break. A passerby passing by pointed at him. Look, someone is fighting with the eternal core crystal. Mostly because I was anxious because I failed to break through the level. Alas, this will happen one day. Brother, don't worry, Shura will add buff to the human race, and you will be able to pass the level sooner or later. Yes, you must believe in Shura. Yeah, bye. Shura and Tower Spirit were silent at the same time. After adjusting his mentality, Yabai spoke again. What's the situation on the 34th floor now? I have no idea. Taling also answered simply. This layer was taken away by the powerful demon god's men, and there was very little that the Tower Spirit could do to interfere. Originally, the job transfer secret realm on the 34th floor is a battle secret realm. The corresponding gods will send down their power and transform into projections to fight with you, etc. Yabai interrupted Taling's words with a solemn expression. Since the gods can lower their power, does it mean that there is a connecting channel between this layer and the eternal temple? Yes, there is. Of course Taling knew what Yabai was worried about. It's just, if the most powerful demon wants to pollute the eternal temple, your third brother won't just sit idly by, right? Taking away the 19th floor of the Eternal Tower is not a crisis for the human race. The Tower Spirit himself didn't care very much, but waited slowly for Shura to conquer every level. But if things involve the Eternal Temple, it will be different. All existences above level 990 in the Eternal Tower will enter the Eternal Temple. If the most powerful demon god extends his tentacles to the Eternal Temple, the consequences will be disastrous. It was precisely because the consequences were too serious that Taling felt that the other party did not dare to take the risk. After all, Xiaoao is still on the 99th floor. Oh. Obviously, Yabai and Taling hold opposite opinions. That's not my third brother's temple. Taling. This time, it was the Tower Spirit's turn to break the defense. If it were the other most powerful people in the human race, even Shura in the future, they would not care about the safety of a strategically important place like the Eternal Temple. But he is free. If we could use common sense to predict Xiaoao's next step, he wouldn't be called Xiaoao. Water droplets began to appear on the Eternal Core Crystal. Panic, panic. Yuta is panicking, I won't say who it is. Yabai did not continue to waste time with Taling and asked instead. The Eternal Temple is connected to the 34th floor, and the black mist may rely on this passage to contaminate the Eternal Temple. Let me confirm with you, if such a thing really happens, the consequences will be serious, right? It depends on the situation. Taling said weakly. Actually, your second brother left a message in the Eternal Temple. What words? Yabai has always been curious about his second brother's dark history. Taling said truthfully. The Eternal Temple without gods is the best temple. His. It's too much punishment. This is what the second brother can say. Yabai raised his eyebrows and understood the implication of Wuhan's words. The gods from above look down on the world, and everything is like ants. If there are no eternal rules to restrain them, these gods will become the objects of worship by all races. The human race is also one of the 10,000 races, and will also be enslaved by the gods. In fact, in ancient times, this was how the world was. So, for Wuhan, all gods can be killed. If we think about it according to this logic, even if the eternal temple is contaminated, it seems to give the strongest human race an excuse to take action. Then it's none of my business. Yabai clapped his hands, nonchalantly. Yabai didn't have much favorable impressions of the existence in the eternal temple. This old boy, Poseidon, troubles Yabai every day. Isn't it just killing the 2 daughters of Poseidon who are endangering the world? How big of a deal is it? It's okay not to repay kindness, but to repay kindness with hatred. Yabai has a library in his heart, which contains all the money Poseidon owes him. Taling hesitated and said hesitantly, "There is a saying that I don't know whether to say or not." "Yabai, then don't say it." After being scolded, Taling shamelessly continued, "If the eternal temple is contaminated, whether it is your 3rd brother or your 2nd brother who takes action to solve it, it will not be good news for them." Yabai, alert.jpg. No matter how weak the deity is, after being polluted, if you want to dispose of it harmlessly, you will have to pay a high price. The best way is to take precautions before they happen. If you had talked like this earlier, I would have understood. Yabai patted his chest and promised, "I'll help you cut off the passage between the 34th floor and the eternal temple, just pay double the price. That's all. My eternal core crystal is out of power, so I won't talk anymore." After saying that, Yabai hung up the phone. Before heading to the 34th floor, Yabai checked his status one last time. Eternal ID, Shura. Talent, Eye of Insight, SSS level. Level, 499. Occupation, Wrath Title Mage, Thunder, Fire, Shadow, SSS level. Second profession, Shura Great Mage, Windwood Water, SSS level. Title, Fire Thief. HP, 48.69 million/48.69 million. MP, 64.86 million/64.86 million. Strength, 297,000, add 326,000. Intelligence, 398,000, add 635,000. Spirit, 314,000, add 428,000. Agility, 212,000, add 229,000. Physique, 238,000, add 268,000. Luck, 17. Equipment, Force of Nature, SSS level, etc. Skills, Death, etc. Status, Bankruptcy, etc. Due to the existence of lost money, Yabai had better not use the gold-plated version of the Force of Nature and use the Heavenly King's Sword instead. Anyway, the Heavenly King's Sword is a bronze sword, so it doesn't get in the way. After everything was ready, Yabai placed his palm on the Eternal Core Crystal and selected the 34th floor. A familiar prompt sounded in his ears. "I wish you can clear the Eternal Tower as soon as possible. Online games, only I can see hidden information." Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 564. Eternal Tower. The 34th floor. A white light flashed, and Yabai appeared on a pile of rocks. There is a faint black mist all around. Just looking at it makes people feel disgusted, and a faint odor can be smelled from the nose. Stinky and fragrant, fragrant and smelly, both smelly and fragrant. The wind purifies the spiritual world. Yabai casually threw a wind spell to blow away the black mist around him, and the stench also left. He is a mage and knows magic. This makes sense, right? In daily life, Yabai did not relax his demands on himself. Backed by the pavilion of all things, Yabai secretly learned many spells suitable for him. It seems that the situation here is much worse than the previous floors. Yabai looked forward, and the black fog could block his sight. However, in the face of SSS level talents, it is ineffective, invalid, all invalid. After some confusion, Ye-Bai seemed to have a perspective. There were no secrets around him. A small opening does not count as an opening, and a small opening does not count as a hanging. Besides, Ye-Bai spent so much money on the Eye of Insight, what's wrong with getting a fluoroscopy? After gaining perspective, Ye-Bai looked around again. There was nothing in the black mist. It's so gloomy. Is it scary to shoot a ghost movie? To be on the safe side, Ye-Bai tried shaking people first. Neither Dracula nor Gabriel can be summoned. Obviously, this layer is very special. It isolates the outside world and gives Ye-Bai no chance to influence others. Fortunately, Ye-Bai still has the Cain shield. Cain's current state is a weapon spirit, so he directly followed Ye-Bai into the 34th floor. The arrogant vampire Forbidden Prince was summoned. Cain snorted coldly and turned away, not squinting at the Demon Lord. He now understood why Dracula called Shura the Demon Lord. Good guy, you really don't do anything about people. Cain even felt that calling Shura that way was a bit insulting to the devil. The devil's crime doesn't end there. I have something, please help me. Ye-Bai's attitude was very polite. Cain frowned, knowing that things were not simple. But being dependent on someone else, what right did he have to refuse? The reason why Cain cooperated with Shura was because he was greedy for the Forbidden Prince's blood in Shura's hands. Now he is only a spirit body. If he wants to rebuild his physical body, he must spend a lot of the Forbidden Prince's blood. In the entire human race, no, in the whole world, apart from the blood ancestor, only Shura can help him with this. In other words, Cain can do anything, as long as he adds enough money. Ye-Bai made a request that was not excessive. Help me find the way. Cain? Is there any big danger in the dark fog? Cain has the strength of a 9th level war god, and he was once a taboo prince. His perception is far superior to that of a strong person of the same level. He is infinitely stronger than Su Qingfeng and others. Cain's perception was so keen that he didn't feel the slightest danger in the black mist. What's there to be afraid of? Ye-Bai said frankly. Should not. I once heard Dracula say that your talent should be related to your eyes, and your perception should be better than mine. Cain was even more surprised and asked. Since you are sure there is no danger, why do you still need me to explore the way? Ye-Bai didn't feel embarrassed at all and said seriously. I don't really believe in tranquil eyes. I finally reached SSS level once, but I lost so completely. Ye-Bai never trusted Tan Yan 100%. What's more, with the labor force of Cain, it's not in vain if it's not used. Without squeezing out more residual value, Ye-Bai doesn't even know how high his street lights can be hung. Facing Shura's statement, Cain spent tens of seconds to adjust his mentality. The lion opened his mouth and said, no problem, look in one direction for 10 drops of Forbidden Prince's essence and blood. 1 drop. Ye-Bai made a small chop. Explore the complete map, 1 drop. Cain. When it comes to ruthlessness, you are ruthless, Demon Lord. The two parties struggled for a while as usual and finally agreed on the price. Cain explores the entire map and gets a total of 2 drops of Forbidden Prince's essence and blood. If he dies unexpectedly, in addition to the due compensation for death in battle, Ye-Bai will add 3 drops of Forbidden Prince's essence and blood. Cain knew that if he kept grinding, the price would get a little higher. If it were Dracula, he would definitely do this. But who is Cain? The Forbidden Prince among Forbidden Princes. How could he do such a thing if he wanted to lose face? Before Cain set out, he only made one last request. This matter is not allowed to be spread outside. Just for a mere 5 drops of Forbidden Prince's essence and blood, I ran errands for others. He couldn't afford to lose this face. I want to save face. Ye-Bai rolled his eyes, not as knowledgeable as Cain. While Cain explored the entire map, he continued to stay where he was, waiting for news. The east is safe, the west is safe. As a 9th level war god, Cain moves very quickly. The 34th floor, as a secret realm for job transfer, is not very big. In a short time, Cain had almost finished browsing the entire map. Suddenly, the shield in Yebai's hand shook slightly. The bat logo above has disappeared. Cain is dead. Damn, something went wrong. After Yebai dripped the blood of the Forbidden Prince, the bat symbol appeared again, and Cain was summoned again. The mood is quite complicated. Cain. Countless turbulent waves merged into one sentence, echoing throughout the 34th floor, lasting for a long time. I am the god of the sea. The huge body proportions are perfect, the bronze skin, and the explosive muscles bring a strong visual impact to people. The other party grinned and gave his name. Now that Cain has alerted the enemy, there is no need for the two sides to fight. The enemy was hiding in the dark, trying to catch Shura off guard. Who is coming? Stacked and ready to go, Yebai took Cain and rushed directly to the destination. Before Cain had time to be happy, he heard Shura's next words. He wanted to meet this mysterious god for a while. This is a god, no doubt about it. The sea is roaring, roaring. The god's eyes coincidentally collided with Yebai's, and his eyes were full of amusement. Deducted from your future salary. As he spoke, blue waves rippled, and a trident appeared in the opponent's hand. However, Shura will not miss any opportunity to save money. Yes, not the existence of the 34th floor, but the power from a higher level. To the northwest, at 3,560 kilometers, I was killed by a divine punishment. Yebai repeated, frowning. Take it, if there is a fight, use it directly. The road between enemies is narrow, and enemies are extremely jealous when they meet. The shadow revealed its true appearance, its height alone was over 10,000 meters, which was extremely astonishing. The other person had gray hair and looked somewhat familiar, as if he had seen him in the sheepfold. Shura has always been willing to spend money on things like saving his life. Are you surprised or surprised? Yebai threw out a bottle of Forbidden Prince's essence and blood, which contained nearly 100 drops. Before Yebai could ask, Cain took the initiative to speak. God's punishment. Yebai raised his head and looked up. Looking at the huge shadow in front of him, Yebai shouted in a deep voice. You are the one here. The divine power is mighty, the kingdom of God is coming. I am the Lord of the stormy waves, the Lord of countless creatures, the Lord of water, the co-Lord of oceans and lakes. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 565. Poseidon. Yebai was very sure that the Poseidon in front of him had arrived in his true form. In other words, this old boy escaped from the eternal temple. While Yebai was sizing up the other person, Poseidon was also sizing him up. In the eternal tower, the two sides fought in the air for several rounds, and Poseidon took the initiative to give Yebai a lot of wool. Yebai had previously changed jobs and acquired the void fire element, which was attributed to Poseidon. Poseidon spoke again, his voice loud and powerful, spreading throughout the 34th floor. Shura, there is no need to distinguish between life and death between you and me. Oh. Yebai didn't expect this opening statement. The other party showed good intentions, but Yebai was not sure of killing him, so he didn't take action for the time being. Yebai muttered. If you are really sincere, shrink down to the size of a normal person first. Chatting with you like this is too much of a waste. My divine body has shrunk to this extent. It is already the smallest. Poseidon shook his head and gave his own solution. His huge divine body sat on the ground and no longer spoke. At the same time, a figure walked out of the waves, carved in the same mold as Poseidon. It was a projection made by Poseidon with his divine power. Shura, as I said before, I have no ill intentions. Poseidon projection was particularly straightforward and said straight to the point. Even if I ignore the eternal rules, I don't dare to take action against you, let alone kill you. The strength possessed by the gods is already on another level. Even if Yabai is in the eternal tower, the gods can kill him directly. Therefore, Poseidon's projection does not use can't, but dare not. Interesting. Yabai closed his eyes slightly, his thoughts changing. Before this meeting, he had dealt with Poseidon more than once. Judging from past experience, Poseidon is not afraid of offending Yabai, and is even willing to stumble Yabai as much as possible within the limits allowed by the rules. The other party's attitude suddenly changed 180 degrees. Yabai couldn't help but be surprised. Poseidon spoke again and said slowly, "Aren't you always curious about the origin of the eternal temple? I can tell you some valuable information." "Wait a minute, the free ones are the most expensive ones." Yabai interrupted Poseidon's words. "What's more, how do I know if you will hide important information to mislead me?" "This is simple." Poseidon grinned and said easily, "Just listen to my story. As for whether the story is true or false, you are so smart that you can judge for yourself." Poseidon was determined to speak, but Yabai couldn't stop him. Yabai nodded, "What Poseidon said makes sense." Before Poseidon started speaking, Yabai took out 2 bottles of wine from the storage space. One bottle belongs to Yabai, and the other bottle also belongs to Yabai. He had no intention of sharing it with Poseidon. "Poseidon." After regaining his composure, Poseidon spoke again. "In ancient times, all races lived in the same realm. Strong men of all races emerged one after another, and conquests continued. It was an era of chaos, disorder, barbarism, and violence." Yabai nodded slightly, agreeing with Poseidon's statement. Poseidon continued. "At that time, the top-notch beings had many titles: God of all gods, venerable, supreme God. They were also what you humans call the strongest." Yabai raised his eyebrows slightly and asked, "In other words, in ancient times, the strongest existence was only level 1000. If the ceiling of strength is level 1000, where does the most powerful demon come from?" "Right." Poseidon confirmed Yabai's conjecture and said in a deep voice, "I personally experienced those chaotic years. I was still very weak at that time, and the gods were all aloof to me. Many races will have the most powerful seeds, trying to attack the most powerful position. Some existences succeed, while others fail. The most powerful seeds that fail usually die, or are worse than dead." Yabai also knew this information. The most famous one is the Blood Ancestors attack on level 1000, which directly attracted the coalition forces of the 5 races to stop the Blood Ancestor. The Blood Ancestor failed in the end, causing the river of blood to go berserk. The entire Blood clan's vitality was severely damaged, and they were reduced to the lower 3 clans. They have not yet recovered. However, Yabai knew all this information, so why did Poseidon mention this? The Eternal Tower exists to solve this problem. Poseidon broke through the doubts in Yabai's heart and said bluntly, "In ancient times, if a powerful seed reached level 1000, it would often be surrounded by a pack of wolves, and it would be beaten to death. To take a step back, even if you successfully reach level 1000 and become the strongest person, you are destined to die soon at the hands of other strongest people, or for other weird reasons, or simply disappear and disappear. In the long thousands of years, no one of the most powerful people has a lifespan of more than 1000 years. This is also the source of the curse of death for the most powerful people." Hearing this, Yabai was fascinated and did not miss any detail. This is the first time Yabai has heard the information Poseidon said. There must be relevant records within the human race. But, due to the existence of the historical inventor Yingju, the nature of things has changed subtly. The information provided by others is for reference only. The information produced by Yingju is only misleading. In any case, Ye Bai was very satisfied to get this information from Poseidon for free. If he really wanted to kill Poseidon later, Ye Bai might consider being gentler. It was precisely because of the existence of the most powerful curse that all races suffered heavy losses. At this time, a legendary figure appeared. Could it be that? Right. Ye Bai interrupted Poseidon again. Poseidon nodded steadily and said in a deep voice. Gone. An idea flashed in Ye Bai's mind. Based on all the known information, he pieced together the truth and blurted out. I want to leave the Eternal Temple and enter the Eighth Abyss. As I said before, I was weak at that time and the information I could know was very limited. Ye Bai asked, what then? Yes, the Eternal Nine are the first races to sign an alliance and work together to forge the Eternal Tower. There are different opinions about eternal strength. Some say he is the strongest, while others say he is not even a quasi-god. Poseidon recalled. When Ye Bai asked Shadow Brother about related matters before, he got a similar answer. In terms of strength, Ye Bai asked himself whether he was evenly matched with Poseidon. Just by hearing the name, Ye Bai knew that things were not simple. Etc. In terms of background, Ye Bai is a little better than Poseidon. Fortunately, Poseidon didn't have the habit of cawing, so Ye Bai only needed to listen to what the other party continued, and there was no need to rush to update. He was curious about something else. When something goes wrong, there must be a monster. Poseidon said seriously. But, however, these are not the reasons why Poseidon did this. This existence calls itself eternal. Could this group of people you are talking about be the 9 eternal clans? This information, within the Eternal Tower, should be taboo under the constraints of eternal rules. Yang wanders among various races, relying on various unimaginable means to successfully win over a group of strong men among all races. They decided to work together to forge the Eternal Tower. Why, Poseidon was so kind to tell me for free. When mentioning the other party, Poseidon's expression was rarely solemn. Poseidon nodded. You want to be a demon. Unless, Poseidon wants to ask for something from him, so that Poseidon is willing to bear the punishment of the eternal rules, and he must also tell Ye Bai these contents. In this sentence, Ye Bai was not sure whether Poseidon was lying. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 566. Do you want to be a demon? Obviously, Ye Bai's tone was full of doubts. What kind of era is this? Why are there still people rushing to become a high-risk profession like a devil? How? Poseidon asked back. Can't I be a demon? Don't I look like a demon? After 2 sentences, Ye Bai was speechless. From the perspective of good and evil, Poseidon is certainly not a good god, and his daily behavior tends to be in the evil and chaotic camp. However, Ye Bai still couldn't figure out what benefits this would bring to Poseidon. Poseidon also saw that if he couldn't explain clearly, he wouldn't be able to pass the Shura level. Poseidon had been preparing for today's conversation for a long time. He even went through all the troubles and purchased a Shura personality analysis report through the channels of Wanwu Pavilion at a sky-high price. Of course, the sales of such reports are authorized by Shura. In fact, this report was originally shared with Shura for Ye Bai to see for himself. Who knows, Ye Bai directly suggested that after erasing the important information, sell it at a high price in Wanwu Pavilion to maximize profits. This is very Shura. Through the personality analysis report, Poseidon learned about many of the dark sides of Shura's personality, and also thought about how to persuade Shura. I told you before that the creation of the Eternal Tower was prompted by the response of Eternal and the 9 eternal races, and ultimately all races collectively participated. Yabai had corresponding speculations about this matter. This is the first time that such a clear introduction to the origin is given. It's no wonder that the Eternal Tower is so magical, with nearly unlimited authority and resources. It took the combined efforts of all races in the world to build this tower. It's a pity that Taling is a waste. However, Yabai had a small doubt about this statement. Wait a minute. Yabai spoke slowly and asked. How did I hear that the Eternal Tower was created to suppress the existence of taboos? The taboo here exists, and both parties are well aware of it, the most powerful demon. This statement is obviously inconsistent with the version spoken by Poseidon. When the most powerful demon god was mentioned, a trace of fear flashed across Poseidon's face. That being, was a mistake, I can't say. Poseidon can ignore the eternal rules and the constraints of the eternal temple. Because, he originally planned to defect from the eternal temple and go to the abyss to become the demon god. But Poseidon does not dare to speak ill of the most powerful demon. The eternal rules are dead, but the most powerful demon is alive. Yabai waved his hand and did not embarrass Poseidon. Okay, you continue. The topic of the most powerful demon god was put aside. Poseidon returned to the previous topic, about why he wanted to be a demon. Shura, do you know how many abyss there were in the first place? 18. Yabai gave a number. Master Jew shouldn't be cheating on this number, right? Be confident. No. Yabai is very familiar with Juy's methods, concealing the truth, subverting the truth, and using one-sided true information to mislead. This is Juy's favorite way of misleading. Yes, there were 18 abyss in the beginning. Poseidon showed a sinister smile that made people shudder. Among the original 18 demon gods, the weakest was only level 990, so do you understand? Hiss. Yabai took a deep breath and felt his scalp numb. The weakest of the original 18 demon gods was only level 990. When Shura appeared in the world, there were still 13 demon gods. At this time, the weakest demon god was also level 995. In other words, the death of the 5 demon gods actually made the overall strength of the demon gods stronger. The more demons die, the stronger the living demons will be. Third brother actually told Yabai about this matter, but Yabai never paid much attention to it. Looking back and thinking about it now, Yabai discovered that during the time Shura was born, the demon god suffered heavy casualties. The third and sixth demon gods died in the last war between the two clans. The fourth demon god was sealed and turned into a bastard, so let's not mention it. The seventh and eighth demon gods took refuge with the strongest demon god and were killed by Yabai and Wuhan respectively. Among them, the third, fourth, sixth, and seventh abyss were all recovered by the human race and brought back to the Eternal Tower. In other words, the number of abyss dropped sharply from 13 to 9 abyss. It belongs to the finals. If a large abyss is permanently lost, the demon god's minimum strength can be increased by 1 level. Yabai calculated that after the 4 abyss were recovered, the lowest level of the demon 995 add 4 equals level 999. That's right. Poseidon saw Shura's thoughts and said it clearly. After becoming the demon god, my strength will be upgraded to level 999 in the near future, approaching level 1000 infinitely. To a certain extent, there is no difference between gods and mortals. Poseidon also has his own emotions, desires, and pursuits. He wants to become stronger, even if it means becoming a demon god. Just to improve your strength. Yabai snorted coldly and asked. If you were going to die as soon as you got promoted, would you want this kind of promotion? Take a step back, even if you want to, Why didn't you become a demon 100 years ago, but now you have changed your mind? The origin of the abyss demon god is not a secret to Yabai. Some demon gods, the gods of the eternal temple, defected 100 years ago. The situation now is different from 100 years ago. Poseidon patiently explained. The idiots who escaped 100 years ago would have become taboo rations to regain their strength. If it hadn't been for the sudden rise of your human race, there would have been a powerful person to save the world and turn the tide. On the first day when the taboo exists, all demons will die. Yabai can accept this statement. It's different now. I can rely on my position as the demon god to improve my strength, and you humans can also withstand the pressure of taboo existence. Poseidon's wishful thinking was very good. After I become a demon god, I will not be an enemy of your human race. In order not to increase the overall strength of the demon god, you humans will not try to kill the demon god. As long as you give me enough time, I can break through the last hurdle and ascend to the upper realm. Clearly, Poseidon is out of bad taste. The human race, the demon race, the abyss, the eternal tower, the eternal temple, all have no meaning to Poseidon. There is only one thing on his mind, to become stronger and ascend. Although it is not good news for the human race that such a being becomes a demon, it is by no means a bad thing. Yabai quickly analyzed the pros and cons in his mind. He knew very well that he was just the first person Poseidon wanted to convince. If Poseidon's plan is to be fully implemented, it still needs the nods of the third brother, second brother, and eldest brother. The top management of the human race will hold a meeting to vote, and after approval, a letter of appointment will be issued. After going through the series of processes, only this demon can work with a certificate. Why does it sound so miserable? Let's put aside the price. Yabai looked at Poseidon and asked sincerely. If you want to become a demon, what do you need me to do? It's very simple, do me a small favor. Poseidon turned back, pointed at his 10,000-meter body, and said lightly. Kill me. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 567. Why do these words sound so familiar? Yabai frowned, suspecting that the other party was transformed by the fifth demon god. All day long, you are thinking of ways to open a banquet for yourself, right? Seeing that Shura might have some misunderstanding, Poseidon quickly explained. As a god, if I am killed once in the eternal tower, I will not die directly, but will lose my level. Is there such a good thing? I must fall below level 990 before I can leave the eternal tower. Poseidon's explanation was reasonable and easy to work with. Isn't it just killing gods? It's not the first time Yabai has done it. He has single-killed all level 1000 monsters, let alone a mere Poseidon. What's more, this request was made by Poseidon on his own initiative, and the other party would cooperate with Yabai. It is indeed not difficult at all to execute, and it is easy to get started. Yabai sighed. It's a beautiful thought to be the 8th demon god and also want to win the chicken in the finals. As we all know, 7th and 8th are the ones who lose points. Poseidon's path was narrow from the beginning. Of course, this is not something Yabai needs to consider. The only thing Yabai would consider for his enemies was how to collect as much loot as possible after their death. However, Poseidon's proposal was too high impact, and Yabai felt that it still needed to be considered in the long term. Let's start from the beginning. Yabai started to ask questions at his own pace. It's my turn, questions. Since you want to ascend, why don't you become stronger in the eternal temple and then ascend and leave? Yabai's first question was very direct. Becoming a demon god is to ascend. Poseidon himself is also a deity in the eternal temple, why can't he ascend directly? If he is limited by his talent and strength, even after Poseidon becomes the demon god, he will have no chance of ascending successfully. Poseidon had already guessed that Shura would not be so easy to persuade, and was already prepared for this. Poseidon said frankly, "The Eternal Temple was originally designed to stop the war." According to Poseidon's previous introduction, the reason why the Eternal Tower was built was to get rid of the fate of the most powerful and to stop the endless conquests of all races. Among them, the most serious internal friction is the range from level 990 to level 999. Poseidon introduced. According to the original design intention, all existences above level 990 will be forced to enter the Eternal Temple. In the Eternal Temple, even if there is a battle, there will be no real death. All quasi-gods and gods can practice with peace of mind and attack level 1000. After reaching level 1000, you will automatically ascend to the upper world and leave the Eternal Temple. This design sounds reasonable. The combat power of strong men above level 990 is different from other beings. The Tongtian god of war can easily destroy a small abyssal plane with just a few moves. Yabai nodded slowly and asked, "Then what's the problem?" "There was a little accident," Poseidon said helplessly. "There are only 2 ascension quotas during the same period, one is occupied by a taboo existence, and the other is occupied by the strongest person in the human race." "Yabai. That's okay. It is not surprising that the most powerful demon god occupies an ascension spot. The strongest human being is also very reasonable." Yabai raised his eyebrows. "Doesn't that mean that all the gods in the Eternal Temple cannot ascend?" Poseidon nodded, "Yes. This is not the Eternal Temple, this is the Eternal Divine Prison. These quasi-gods and gods never imagined that they would be imprisoned in the Eternal Temple. In this way, although Poseidon's plan is crazy, it is also the only solution at present. This is a big deal, let's talk slowly." Yabai asked Poseidon to sit down and had a long chat with him. "First tell me where you need my help and where you need help from the human race. Then I'll set a killer price, and we can make a deal with just a few clicks." Poseidon. This was the first time for him to hear someone talk about the matter of robbing customers in a fair and upright manner. His face did not turn red, his heart did not beat, and he felt confident. But, from a certain perspective, Shura tore through all the hypocritical links and directly discussed interests with Poseidon, which was also the most efficient method. Poseidon and Shura had many conflicts before, so there was no need to get close. If Poseidon really had a chance to take revenge, he would not let Shura go. Both parties knew this very well and had a tacit understanding not to talk about it. When talking about business, first negotiate the deal at hand before talking about it. Is it a complete plan? Poseidon said slowly. I need you to kill me 8 times, drop me to level 989, and then send me away from the Eternal Tower to the 8th abyss. After pondering for a moment, Poseidon spoke again. That should be it. After reaching the 8th abyss, I am confident that I can become the 8th demon god on my own. To escape from the Eternal Temple, Poseidon needs to pay a heavy price, losing 8 levels in a row. Of course, you have to pay a large fee to Shura. Wait a minute. I heard that Xuemeng of the human race and Shura, the most powerful seed, are going to play in the 8th abyss during this time. Poseidon? Founded by Xuemeng, the adopted son of the most powerful human race, and Shura, the most powerful seed of the human race, after investing in this fund, it can help you realize your dream of the 8th demon. Okay. This is not the first time Poseidon has made a deal with Shura. Poseidon thought this was the end, but he never expected that this was just the beginning of a nightmare. Doesn't that mean you didn't swear an oath? Dear, here is the 8th demon god's dream fund, would you consider investing in it? This guy has no limits at all. Poseidon still overestimated Shura's lower limit. Swear in the name of Yingju. I choose Huo Tianwang. Suppressing his anger, Poseidon gritted his teeth. Yabai seriously interrupted Poseidon and said seriously. In the blink of an eye, he spent 1.98 million God of War merit. But 9.9% off is already the limit that Yebai can bear. Yebai took out the third letter of commitment. Yebai showed a price list. If you go to compete with the demon god, if you encounter these two ferocious gods and are killed by a hammer or a thunder, wouldn't it mean that all your previous efforts have been wasted and your blood will be lost? It's simple. Pay a safety deposit. Once it takes effect, these two people will swear in the name of Yingju not to take action against you. 300,000 for a random 9th level war god of the human race. Of course. Poseidon could hardly hold himself any longer. These two people will not attack you, but they may support other monsters to become the 8th demon god. Do you want to consider buying a neutrality commitment letter? The price is the same as above. If you buy 2 copies together, you will get a 9.9% discount. Yebai came up with a solution that he had prepared a long time ago. Poseidon hesitated for a moment, feeling that this money could not be saved. Okay, 2 people, a total of 1 million God of War merits. Tongtian War God 400,000, Huo Tianwang 500,000. In your opinion, how can I ensure my safety? I swear on Su Qingfeng's life, 200,000 God of War merits. Are you threatening me? Ken, change the name of another person. After a while, Poseidon gritted his teeth and purchased the package. Swear in the name of King Huo Tian again. Yebai first made a note and then asked. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 568. 5 minutes later, Poseidon felt a little regretful. Poseidon looked at the pile of documents that was almost piled up in front of him, and the various charging terms that came out of Shura's mouth. Stop it! Poseidon quickly stopped Shura's crazy behavior. According to Shura's calculations, Poseidon has sold himself to Shura. He even had some doubts, who wanted to be the devil. Poseidon said sharply. What we just talked about is all invalid. You just quote a total price. Ken. Yebai readily agreed. How do you plan to pay the liquidated damages? Cash, credit card, or Wanwu Pavilion? Poseidon. Shura, I didn't sign at all. Shura, who failed to receive the liquidated damages, was not in a good mood. However, the other party is also a god, so he cannot be too disrespectful. Okay, let's recalculate. In the end, Yebai made a condition that was not excessive. One price, 5 million God of War merit. Ken. Poseidon did not hesitate, for fear that Shura would regret it, so he immediately agreed. I don't have that much money in my Wanwu Pavilion account, so I can only pay with eternal gold coins. Yebai. There are too many flaws in this sentence. As a god, Poseidon lives in the eternal temple on weekdays. He lives a good life and has no worries about food and clothing. There is actually a Wanwu Pavilion account. Has the business of Wanwu Pavilion reached the eternal temple? Yebai discovered that this boy Zhao Qian could always bring surprises to him. As for the eternal gold coins, which pot won't be opened? There is a loss of money. Can Yebai get the money now? You don't have this ability, you know. Yebai suggested. How about you first deposit the eternal gold coins into the pavilion of all things and then transfer them to me? It's okay, that's fine. Poseidon frowned slightly. It's just that the handling fee for depositing money during this period is relatively high. Forget it, I'll bear the handling fee myself. Yebai gave a thumbs up to Poseidon Lautai, great job. As long as Yebai is not allowed to spend money, he is Yebai's good brother. As the shopping platform within the human race, Wanwu Pavilion is quite fair within the human race. Even when driving to the Eternal Temple, Zhao Qian did not forget the word fair. However, the fairness of the human race is fairer than that of other races. Gods like Poseidon can purchase items at the fairest price in the pavilion of all things, without being bullied. But when recharging God of War merit, you need to pay a hefty handling fee. In ordinary times, 5 million God of War merits would require a handling fee of approximately 100,000 God of War merits. Since it is the era of the most powerful, Wanwu Pavilion has launched a large discount and reward mode, and the handling fee is directly doubled. With just one sentence, Yebai earned 200,000 God of War merits for Wanwu Pavilion. Putting aside the handling fee paid by Poseidon, Yebai changed the topic and asked, "I agree to help you become the demon god, but you still need to convince others." Poseidon nodded, "I understand this." Poseidon was fully prepared for this defection. In fact, Poseidon first conveyed his thoughts to the human race's Tongtian war god through his own channels. After receiving the reply, Poseidon took action. It was from the other party's reply that Poseidon learned. Whether he can become the eighth demon god is the most crucial figure, Shura. Only when Shura nods can Poseidon hold the certificate and take up his post. It was precisely because of this relationship that Poseidon was able to go against his normal behavior and sit down with Shura to talk business in a calm manner. "Okay, then we have one more thing to do." Yebai pointed at the body of Poseidon and spoke again. "I need to kill you 8 times. I'm not very good at killing gods. As you know, I have always respected gods." "Poseidon? Respect. Do you really know how to write these 2 words? Look back and take a closer look at what you did in the Eternal Tower. It cannot be said that you have committed all kinds of evil, at least it is too numerous to describe. Just the daughter of Poseidon, Shura killed more than one with his own hands." Shura's words were mixed in and out, and all he heard was just 2 words, "add money." Poseidon is numb. "Okay, 8 times, you can tell me the price." Poseidon added, "I can swear that after becoming a demon god, I will not be an enemy of the human race, and I can even work for the human race. Just tell this kind of joke in private, don't take it seriously." Yebai waved his hand and ignored Poseidon's words. "The gods in the eternal temple will also have many restrictions and need to respect the eternal rules. The demon god in the abyss is the top existence, unrestrained. Except for the most powerful, few beings can threaten the demon god. After this cleansing, the weakest demon god is now level 999. Once you break through to level 1000, you will have the confidence to escape even when facing the strongest. At level 1000, everyone is the strongest, what is there to be afraid of? If you can't win in a fight, can't you still win in a run? Demon gods who have reached level 1000 can ascend to the upper realm at any time, withdraw from the world, and leave this vortex. The 7th and 8th demon gods cannot leave because their upgrades rely on the gift of the most powerful demon god, and the most powerful demon god does not allow them to leave. Everyone is well aware of the status of Wuhan and Nightmare, and Xiaoyao will not take action. With the support of various factors, the profession of demon god has also undergone new changes with the changes of the times. The risk factor plummets, the happiness increases rapidly, and you can even get a promotion and a salary increase, and reach the peak of the devil. The 9th demon god's willingness to be a human undercover depends not on the 9th demon god's loyalty, but on Master Ju's sword. As long as Master Ju's sword hangs over his head, the 9th demon god will remain loyal. As for Poseidon? Joke. Seeing that Shura didn't believe him, Poseidon took a step back. "Then you set a price, don't go too far. I don't have much money left." The more he dealt with Shura, the safer Poseidon felt. Shura just wants to make money, without any evil intentions. If it were the previous 3 strongest men, how could Poseidon dare to make such a condition to them? Really, times have changed. "I have a question and want to know the answer." Unexpectedly, Yebai did not ask for money, but instead asked, "After I entered the Eternal Tower, you should have known that I was the most powerful seed, right? Poseidon nodded. You shine as brightly as the sun in the eyes of the gods. Although Shura's true appearance cannot be seen clearly, it is not difficult for the gods to see who is the most powerful seed. Yabai also knew that this was probably due to the supreme mark. That's weird. Yabai frowned and asked in confusion. If you know that I am the most powerful seed of the human race, my human race also has the most powerful person sitting in charge. I don't understand, why did you go against me in the first place? Shura's several experiences of dealing with Poseidon were definitely not pleasant. Most of the time, they broke up on bad terms, and Yabai came back with a handful of wool. But Poseidon is not an irritable old man, but a flexible being. If the most powerful seeds of the human race can grow into the most powerful people, why would Poseidon still dare to offend Shura? Shura's question stunned Poseidon. He was stunned for a few seconds and then asked. You, really don't know the reason? Yabai shook his head. It was precisely because he didn't know that he asked. Shura, you can survive to this day. I don't know whether you should be lucky or cautious enough. Poseidon pondered for a moment, his expression kept changing, and finally he looked up. It can be said that the other party did not stop it? Since Shura asked, Poseidon must answer. Poseidon was unusually nervous. After organizing his words, he lowered his voice and said. That forbidden existence once swore by the eternal origin. The most powerful demon? Yabai was stunned. Why is this involving the most powerful demon god again? Why did the most powerful demon swear? Poseidon swallowed and added the second half of the sentence. He said that as long as the strongest seed of the human race dies, he will never be born again. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjaya Old Thief. Chapter 569. Anyone can make threats. However, there is a big difference in who says it. For example, the same sentence may be very punishing if used without any trace. If it were Su Qingfeng, there would be only comedy effect. Yabai is now facing an embarrassing situation. The existence that said as long as the most powerful seed of the human race dies, it will never be born again. Pretty strong. The most powerful demon god, the only known existence beyond level 1000. Even at 50% strength, there is still a terrifying strength of 2000 levels. After severely injuring Nightmare and Wuhan, Yingju was forced to drag King Huo Tian to death. The power of the most powerful demon god is beyond everyone's imagination. And the threat issued by the most powerful demon god is naturally heavyweight. Yabai was not particularly panicked. Instead, he calmed down and analyzed carefully. This sentence should be true. Poseidon doesn't have the guts to joke about this kind of thing. Let's talk, don't make fun of the most powerful demon. Yabai asked abruptly. This sentence shouldn't have been said recently, right? Really? Poseidon nodded, confirming Yabai's guess. When the first most powerful person in your human race was born, the taboo existence woke up and made a promise to him. The oath spread throughout the eternal temple, and the eternal rules appeared. No one knows about this matter. After getting in touch with him, Poseidon discovered that Shura might be underestimated by many gods. Although they don't look as heaven-defying and evil as the previous three most powerful seeds. But Shura's character and behavior are a great compliment to his own combat power. Once Shura accepts his shamelessness, he is invincible. In the knowledge of Poseidon, when Shura deals with his enemies, he has no lower limit, no principles, is ruthless, and uses everything. To some extent, Shura will be the most powerful seed that causes the Eternal Temple the most headaches, and its destructive power will far exceed the top three. After receiving a positive reply, Ye Bai's face became more solemn and he asked in a deep voice. If I understand correctly, what the powerful demon god means is that as long as Nightmare kills Wuhan, he will not appear in the world, right? Right. Poseidon nodded again. This oath is forever valid. Ye Bai fell into silence. The silence this time lasted longer than before. The oath of the most powerful demon god is witnessed by the eternal source, and it is not the ordinary kind of oath made in the name of Yingju. In other words, the most powerful demon must abide by his oath. And this oath is permanently valid, which means that every generation of the strongest will face a choice, who will die and who will live. Before Xiaoao became the strongest, it would not be difficult for Wuhan to kill Xiaoao. The strongest human race at its peak state is truly invincible. However, as a swordsman, Wuhan has the clearest idea of right and wrong. The second brother would rather draw his sword and attack the most powerful demon god than bully an old man who has no power to restrain a chicken. The same logic also applies to Xiaoao and Shura. If Xiaoao doesn't want to have a decisive battle with the most powerful demon, he can definitely kill Shura. The most powerful demon god must keep his promise and be trapped in the abyss of the most powerful one. If Xiaoao chooses to do this, every 36 years, a powerful seed will be born in the human race and then killed by him. In this way, there will never be a war between Xiaoao and the most powerful demon. A chill surged into Ye Bai's heart, and he felt terrified. He remembered that a month ago, when Master Zhu went to the abyss to kill the demon, Qian Dingling asked Ye Bai not to be alone with Xiaoao before leaving. At that time, Ye Bai just thought that the oppression of the strongest Xiaoao was too strong, and Master Zhu was afraid that he would not be able to bear it. Looking back now, this is such a horror story. Master Zhu is not worried about Ye Bai turning into a dog at all. Turning into a dog would be a big deal and it would also make Master Zhu happy. What Zhu Ye is worried about is that Ye Bai's life will be completely lost. It is precisely because of this that after Master Zhu came back from the abyss, he found that Xiaoao had already met Ye Bai, and Ye Bai was still alive. The relieved Zhu Ye never mentioned this matter again. When the cold truth was revealed in front of him, Ye Bai only felt that he was in danger. Since the third brother didn't kill him then, he won't kill him in the future. Thinking about it carefully, Ye Bai could probably guess what the third brother was thinking. Boring. The oath of the most powerful demon god is a true murderous intention. But the problem is that Nightmare, Wuhan, and Xiaoao are all extraordinary people, and killing people and punishing their hearts is of no use to them. Nightmare and Wuhan have responded to the most powerful demon with practical actions. And Ye Bai is still alive and kicking. To a certain extent, Xiaoao has also responded. However, Ye Bai, who learned the truth, still felt extremely heavy. He is the most powerful seed, the most powerful person in the future. Sooner or later, he will take over the banner from the third brother and fight against the most powerful demon. When it's Shura's turn to make a choice, what will Shura choose in the face of the murderous and heart-wrenching demon god? If it were the current Ye Bai, he would definitely pat his chest and guarantee that he would never kill the fifth generation of the most powerful seeds. Even I, Shura, can't afford to lose this person. But what about 36 years later? A lot will change over time. In history, countless enlightened emperors invariably fell into coma at the end of their lives. 36 years later, can Shura make the same choice as this young man does today? As long as you move your fingers and kill the new generation of the most powerful seeds, you can keep the most powerful demon in peace for 36 years. You can even find some grand reasons and excuses for yourself to explain and cover up this dirty behavior. Even Ye Bai didn't have to come up with these excuses himself, there would naturally be countless people who would defend and excuse his actions. Is the most powerful demon god using this to test Shura? Can Shura withstand such a test? After a long silence, Ye Bai stretched out his hand, a water ball condensed in his palm, picked up the water ball, and washed his face. Call. Yabai took a long breath, as if he wanted to let out the gloom in his heart, and his expression became much more relaxed. Poseidon looked at his appearance and knew that he had probably figured it out. Poseidon was very curious as to what Shura's answer would be. Are you like the three most powerful men in the past, who risked their lives, but also cut thorns and waves for future generations? So generous and tragic, a bit unlike the Shura Poseidon knew. Poseidon couldn't help but ask. Have you figured out a solution? Not yet. Yabai shook his head and said frankly. How can there be a solution at this moment? Poseidon was even more strange. Then why did you? Before Poseidon could finish asking, Shura raised his right hand and made a rubbing motion. If you want to ask questions, you have to pay more. Sure, the familiar Shura is back. Poseidon was also very generous. With a wave of his hand, the golden ocean rushed towards Shura, and hundreds of millions of eternal gold coins appeared. World-famous painting, Poseidon throws coins. The moment the golden sea touches Shura, it turns into copper color, and it will also actively change the surrounding eternal gold coins. Shura watched the copper color spread, his eyes filled with despair. 100 million eternal gold coins, all turned into copper coins in less than half a minute. 100 million, 100 million, 100 million, 100 million gold coins. Shura was furious and roared, the one with the surname Hai. My surname is not Hai. Poseidon came back and roared angrily. I'll pay you double. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 570. That's pretty much it? Looking at the copper coins in front of him, Yabai still felt a pang of angina. He first put all the money into his backpack, took a few deep breaths, and calmed down. The loss of 100 million gold coins caused great trauma to Shura's young mind. Fortunately, Poseidon made up for it and compensated Shura with an extra 200 million gold coins. Have you ever heard that old saying? Yabai said seriously. When a car reaches the mountain, there must be a road, and when a person reaches the boss, there must be a way. Poseidon? What kind of old saying is this? You made it up right now? Yabai rolled his eyes and ignored Poseidon. That's almost it? A total of 300 God of War merits have been obtained. What kind of bike do you want? After all, Yabai earned 300 God of War merits for a total of 14 words. Although it is just nonsense. But Shura's words also illustrate his true thoughts. Nothing to be afraid of. If there is a bug, it will be stuck. If there is no bug, even if it is created, it will be stuck. Not even counting the battle between Xiaoao and the most powerful demon 3 months later. Yabai still has 36 years to gather the wisdom of the top experts in the human race and find a way to kill the most powerful demon god. Killing people and punishing the heart is shockingly ineffective. It's so funny, you're not human at all. Shura, who got rid of his troubles, once again began his joyful journey of gathering wool. Yabai looked at Poseidon and asked kindly. Since I answered your question and killed you 8 times without being charged twice, is it reasonable to make another request? Poseidon. He discovered a shocking secret, Shura might be illiterate. Shura didn't understand the true meaning of these words at all, fair, win-win, reasonable, a little bit. Poseidon did not agree immediately, but instead said. You say it first, and I'll decide later. There are a few things I don't quite understand. Yabai did not hide anything and said frankly. First, why do you appear on this floor? Poseidon's escape from the Eternal Temple and his arrival on the 34th floor this time was definitely not by his own strength. This is simple. Poseidon said easily. Your human king Wang Tianwang told me that you can escape from the Eternal Temple through the black mist at this time. Yabai. You were careless, you didn't dodge. It turned out to be a message from a high-level human race official, and Poseidon just cooperated. It's scary to think about it. Yabai immediately realized that the death of the 7th and 8th demon gods was not a big secret in the abyss. However, it will definitely take some time to reach the Eternal Temple. In such a short period of time, Poseidon not only received the news, but also designed a sophisticated defection plan. Behind every step, there is the shadow of the human race. In other words, Poseidon is the 8th demon god designated by the human race. Why was Poseidon chosen by default? Probably because they think he is relatively weak, like Su Qingfeng among the demon gods, who becomes relatively harmless after becoming the 8th demon god. Yabai can figure these things out, and so can Poseidon. Even if he knew that the people behind the scenes were humans, Poseidon was still willing to wade through this muddy water. Become the demon god of the abyss, rise to level 999, and then look for opportunities to break through and ascend. This is his only chance in this life. Black Mist actually cooperated with Poseidon to defect. Yabai was secretly suspicious, but did not show it, and even took the initiative to ignore it. It is known that there are two groups of Black Mist that broke into the Eternal Tower. One is the Elf Ancestor, and the other Yabai also heard from Gabriel that he was once the most powerful seed of the Angel clan, and later became the most powerful seed of the Demon clan, seeking to usurp the position of the Demon Ancestor. This second Black Mist has a great origin, is very powerful, and behaves very mysteriously. Normally, there are two ways to defeat the brave boss. The first is the guarding style, where the younger brother is placed in front, allowing the brave to defeat monsters and level up, and then the boss guards the last level. At first glance, he was diagnosed with cerebral palsy. The second type is Guwang style, where the ultimate boss guards the first level and does not give the brave any chance to develop. Black Mist is better, it's neither of the two. On the 31st floor, Yabai passed the level easily without any interference, except for a little bit of bad luck. On the 32nd floor, Black Mist summoned the Golden Dragon of Greed, plating the power of nature with gold. On the 33rd floor, the Black Mist stopped moving again. On the 34th floor, Poseidon was sent over. Odd changes to even, remains unchanged, digging holes to look at the quadrants. How can this be an enemy? This is the captain of the logistics team. After complaining about Heiwu in his heart, Yabai turned his attention to Poseidon again. This old man is very rich. He is about to become a devil, what a waste to keep so much money. I am gathering wool now for your own good. Yabai said seriously. Have you ever heard the old saying of the human race, no debt, no debt? This means that it is easiest for you if you have no money. Before Poseidon could ask a question, Yabai continued. If you have money, Shura will miss you sooner or later. As long as you have no money, Shura will never miss you. Poseidon. He no longer knew how many times he had been speechless. How could this guy be so shameless? We still have a few accounts to settle. Yabai suddenly invited Cain out and said sadly. My beloved relative, friend, and brother Cain was just wandering around on this floor, and you beat him to death. If you don't deserve funeral expenses, it will be difficult to end this matter. Cain's expression was stunned, a little embarrassed. Being beaten to death by divine punishment is already very embarrassing. You are so shy about asking for money. Cain couldn't do such a thing. Just listen to Cain continue to say. The most arrogant forbidden prince of the Blood Clan, the only strong man of the Blood Clan who dares to openly disobey the Blood Ancestors' orders. Cain? In other words, Poseidon lost 150,000 God of War merit for Cain's life. Enough. Yabai continued. Soon, Poseidon stopped laughing. Cain's voice was steady, and a smile appeared on Poseidon's face. Poseidon didn't break any of my god-level puppets. The consignor is Xeon Seed, who wishes to remain anonymous. Soon, the two parties reached a preliminary compensation plan. As a vampire who can be infinitely resurrected, this is the first time he knows that his life is so valuable. Money cannot buy everything. Cain, tell yourself, is this happening? 30%, this is a huge sum of money. For Cain now, he is most in need of money. Isn't there the dignity of the strong? Poseidon fell silent. He was indeed at fault in this matter, and he had to pay some compensation. 30% for you. As for the forbidden prince's essence and blood in the pavilion of all things, 1 drop costs 3,000 god of war merits, so you can fill it up in large amounts. In addition to the funeral expenses, my brother Cain brought many god-level puppets with him when he was wandering around, and you destroyed them all. As a powerful man in ancient times, Cain became famous earlier than Poseidon. Facing temptations and tests, Cain's eyes were extremely firm and unmoved. Cain did not disappoint him. This is what a strong person should look like. If you include the recharge fee, the price will only be higher. Poseidon is angry. Is it over yet? He broke 3. Only with enough money and the blood of the forbidden prince can Cain rebuild his body and return to his peak. Poseidon believes that there are some things in this world that cannot be changed. Poseidon is willing to pay 50 drops of forbidden prince's essence and blood for Cain's death. Am I, Cain, shameless? Cain's Adam's apple moved slightly, and just as he was about to speak, Shura's voice sounded in his ears. It is everyone's responsibility to refuse Shura transformation. Poseidon also has a certain understanding of his character. Money is not all-powerful. Of course, Poseidon definitely doesn't have this kind of thing in his hands. He can only buy it at a high price in the pavilion of all things.